And welcome back to Mizzou Hockey TV. My name's Luca Vitale, alongside me Grant Bader. Grant, how are we doing today?
Doing good today.
So you're a freshman and one of the younger ones on this team, Rising program, if I must mention, sort of talk to us, who are you exactly?
So I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. I've been playing hockey pretty much all my life. I've been skating since I was around 2 years old, and my dad played hockey, so he put me on skates early. He did the same with all my other siblings, but I'm the one who stuck with it and been playing my whole life.
I'm glad you mentioned that. So obviously you're one of the newer guys on this team, one of the freshmen. Mizzou happens to be a program that's been around for a couple of decades now. It's a rising program. And so why do I mention this exactly? Well, you're a freshman and you happen to be facing this weekend against a program that hasn't been around for that long in University of Nebraska Omaha that's only been in the ACHA since 2020. So they're a newer program, and you happen to be a freshman of this program. So that makes me bring to this question: why did you decide to join Mizzou Hockey?
So I knew I was going to Mizzou after I had been given the scholarship, and I wanted to continue playing hockey. Didn't really matter where I was going to go. I was going to continue to play hockey because I love the game, love playing it. And so the second I found out that Mizzou had a team, I'm like, I need to play hockey.
So obviously you mentioned that, right? And I want everyone to take a look why I asked Grant that question. Here's what the University of Nebraska Omaha coach, Nick Harahill, had to say.
It's a lot of local guys that we're getting into our program. So, I mean, we're pretty much basically made of 99% of Omaha kids. So it's a cool thing where it's something where homegrown kids can come back and play.
All right, so that's what Nick Harahill had to say about growing the Nebraska Omaha team. And Grant, you happen to be joining a growing program as well. But now let's sort of recap this Arkansas series, right? You guys dropped both contests last weekend against Purdue, the weekend before rather against Purdue. You guys bounced back against Arkansas at home, a very pivotal matchup, if you will. But now it's sort of like, how did you guys bounce back? I think it showed you guys resilience, right? It showed you guys team resilience. You guys can bounce back like second semester last year. You guys were able to bounce back, getting some wins. So with that in mind, what did that teach you guys? What did this series teach you?
So we knew after the Purdue trip that we had to come back strong. Going 6-0 into Purdue and then having 3 weeks into not playing into Purdue, I think didn't help us in the end. But I think a loss was something not necessarily that we needed. I think we needed to be humbled a little bit to prove that we're not invincible, so that we know we have to give 110% every time we're on the ice. And I think we proved we did against Arkansas.
I'm glad you mentioned the 110% because obviously the good teams, 110%, not just 100, but 110%. So I'm glad you mentioned that. Going into the Arkansas series, you guys had no Danny Rudman with an upper body injury. Eli Baumstark just got back, but going into that second game of the series, you guys had no Andrew Cassiopo and you guys had no Drew Driscoll. So you guys were down quite a lot defensively in terms of depth. But I do want to ask this question. How did you guys overcome that adversity?
It's amazing that we have a lot of extra kids on the team. We have people that are always welcome to fill in spots. And I think we went out there and won it for them because they couldn't be there. As much as they would love to be on the ice, they couldn't. And we were out there to win it for them, not just for ourselves, but for the team. And they're a big part of the team, so it helps. We won it for them.
So UNO, let's sort of transition to the UNO series this weekend, right? We talked about the Arkansas. Let's get to UNO here. UNO is a newer team, like I mentioned, right? They're not that old in the ACHA. They're one of those newer teams. Oklahoma State is another one we can mention that was just developed 2 years ago. But UNO is a team that, like we mentioned, is a newer team, which means they don't have necessarily the skilled players that you guys have, Missouri State, Arkansas, Purdue. They don't necessarily have those skilled players, but how they beat teams like Nebraska, Lincoln, how they swept them is they're going to outwork you. They're going to out-effort you. That's how they're going to do it. So keeping that in mind, how are you guys approaching this series?
So we're approaching this series just like any other. We have to maintain our presence in the D-zone, which I'll go back. The Purdue series, our D-zone presence wasn't as good as we had liked it to be. We were kind of running around, and we took the week after Purdue to really work on that and set it into tone, and we saw it coming into effect in the Arkansas game. And this week we're going to probably continue to work on it and make sure it's locked down because it doesn't matter how many goals you score if they score more than you. And we're a fast team. We've got a lot of speed on our team, and I think we can, use that to our advantage. If they're going to try and outwork us, we're going to have to outwork them back. We have a lot of determination on the team, a lot of grit. We love to go in, love to work our butts off, and continue to push.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that you're going to outwork them, because that actually goes into my next question. This is a Nebraska Omaha squad that, like I mentioned, they swept Nebraska Lincoln, who you guys happened to beat in the Matcha Championship last season. And Nebraska Omaha, they have 3 overtime losses this season, and they're over 500. So keeping that in mind, they're a growing program. The way that they're going to beat you, they may not have the skill, like I mentioned, like Arkansas. They don't have dudes like a Brian Romero like Arkansas. They don't have a William Toriani or a Tyler Gorin like Purdue has. But keeping that in mind, how do you guys outwork them?
Just every time you're on the ice, you have to be given all you got. Just go out there as hard as you can for 45 seconds, come back, sit your butt on the bench, and catch your breath. And that's what we have with our depth. We can put all lines out there. We can give guys breaks when it's needed. So there is no question to not leave anything out on the ice. You have to leave it all.
So this is a team, obviously, I'm going to say for a third time. You got to have to outwork them, right? They don't have the skilled players. But defensively, you guys have gone up against 2 stout defenses 2 weeks in a row in Purdue that you guys saw in Torrin Frank and Zane Burnside. And then Arkansas, you guys saw dudes like Brian Romero. But necessarily, Nebraska Omaha doesn't necessarily have those players, right? But they will try to outwork you. They'll try to outgrind you. So keeping that into consideration, how do you guys not play down to your opponent?
I think. Sorry. The Purdue team showed us what happens when we do play down to their level. We noticed it quickly. We felt like they were setting the tone. We need to be the ones to set the tone early so that they're trying to catch up and we're not trying to match them in a sense. You have to be the one to set the tone early. You can't just go out there and expect it to be an easy game. You have to always go out there and give your presence early and make it easier on yourself.
So going to this series this weekend against UNO, right? You talked about playing down to Purdue. Obviously, you want to prevent that again against UNO. So let's take a look at the first time you guys played against them, against UNO. You guys swept them the first time you ever played them. That happened to be the Mavericks' very first games ever in their program history, D3 specifically speaking here. So taking a look at this, they're probably going to be a little hungry here coming to Washington Park Ice Arena in trying to get a couple of wins here. So in order to do that, you guys are probably going to have to establish some tempo to say, this is our house, you ain't getting 2 wins here. So how do you guys set the tempo?
We just got to come out flying, use our speed to our advantage. I know that we were hungry against Arkansas because we knew that if we sweep them, it's a huge win, and it's something we were gunning for day one. I know we will play them again later in the season at Arkansas, but I think we just need to go into it with the same mentality we had about Arkansas, that we need to go out and set the tone early, use our speed to our advantage, make them be on the back foot, and we don't want to be on the back foot.
UNO has a lot of speed as well. They also show a lot of physicality, not as much as Purdue and Arkansas, but they definitely pride themselves on those 2 components. So UNO, unlike Purdue and Arkansas, they don't average 30 shots a game. They only average about 20-ish shots a game. But they do find the back of the net quite a bit. So they find those low slot areas in the danger zone and get past the goaltender. So with that being said, how do you guys limit their high danger scoring opportunities?
Just committing to our D zone, trusting it. We didn't at Purdue, and we let up a lot of backdoor goals, a lot of goals that could easily be prevented with our defensive zone. There's a couple that they scored that were shots from the point and whatnot. But if we trust the D zone, trust the process, I think we can put a good stopping in.
And last question, Grant. 3 keys. What are your 3 keys to beating UNO?
First key is probably use your speed. Got to be quick. Got to be quicker than them. Leave it all out there. Probably the other one is trust the process, trust the D zone, buy into it, as Bucher says. Because if we do, I think our defensive zone is unbeatable. If we trust it, if we believe in it, if we do it right. And lastly is be there for your teammates. Someone messes up, don't yell at them, don't get down on them, help them get better. Be as a team. If we play as a team, we can beat anyone.
All right, thanks everyone. Thanks for tuning in to Mizzou Hockey TV. My name's Luca Vitale, alongside me, Grant Bader. Be sure to be sure to follow us on social media, visit our website, and be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Again, my name's Luca Vitale, alongside me, Grant Bader. Mizzou takes on the Mavericks this weekend, Friday and Saturday, and be sure to tune in for that. Until then, we'll see you around.